The United Nations nuclear watchdog is calling for a security zone to be established around Ukraine's embattled Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. The IAEA says the current situation is, quote, untenable. This after a team of its experts visited the site last week to assess the damage and conditions for the workers there. Since Russian troops took control of the facility early in the war, Kyiv and Moscow have accused each other of risking a radiation disaster by shelling near the site. NDW's Emmanuel Chaz joins me from Kyiv now. Emma, good to see you. The UN is gravely concerned about the state of the plant. What exactly did the report reveal?
Well, this report actually was expected here. It doesn't really come as a surprise with the International Atomic Energy Agency saying that the situation is no longer sustainable. They've observed very grave violations of the safety on site, and they warn that an incident, a nuclear incident, could happen anytime due to military operations. So really an unsustainable situation there. They've also observed something that had already been actually warned against here by Kyiv, is the military presence of Russian soldiers. So not only soldiers, but also equipment, ammunitions in very sensitive zones. I'm thinking about the halls where the turbines are located. Also, they've observed some damages to buildings where fresh nuclear fuel and also radioactive waste is being stored. Damages also against a building where we find the central alarm system of Zaporizhzhia power plant. So many violations of securities. Of course, they call for a security zone. This zone already existed prior to the war, being a nuclear power plant, but repeatedly since February 24th, it has been violated by the Russian occupants.
There is concern about the plant, of course, but also about the people who live around it. What's the situation like for the people who inhabit this area around the Zaporizhzhia plant?
I would say the primary concern is for people who live nearby and also in the region, because we know that in case of a nuclear catastrophe, not just the immediate vicinity will be affected, but people who are residents in the area. You know, most of them, they are families of people working in the power plants. They are very worried. And also here in Ukraine, people know the toll of a nuclear incident. They had to live through the Chernobyl incident in the 80s. This is very much present in people's mind, with many residents leaving the area when they can, when they haven't already done so, but also the International Atomic Energy Agency also saying that workers in the power plant, well, they're at risk as well directly to commit human errors because of the amount of stress they have to work under. They're under very high pressure. They work under constant observation of the Russian military troops there. So really a very gloom situation there in Zaporizhzhia.
Emma, I want us to take a quick look at the developments in other parts of Ukraine. Stay with us, and we'll talk more after this report, which starts in Kharkiv in the east.
Hit by rockets again and again, Kharkiv is Ukraine's second largest city. Its position in the east, near the Russian border, has made it a target throughout the war.
There was an explosion and our apartment shook. Pieces of tile hit my child's back and the ceiling collapsed on my head. Very thick smoke immediately filled the room. We wanted to get out, but our door was blocked. It was blown into the corridor.
Kharkiv's governor said rescuers are still searching through the rubble for survivors of the attack on this apartment building in the city centre. Several people were killed in other strikes in the region, and air raid sirens rang throughout Ukraine on Tuesday morning. But in the country's south, Kyiv says it's successfully pushing back. Ukrainian troops launched a counteroffensive last week and say they've already regained territory. This video appears to show soldiers raising a Ukrainian flag in a small town in the Kherson region that had been held by Russia since early on in the war.
And our correspondent Emmanuel Chaz is still with us. Emma, looks like that counteroffensive in the south is gaining traction, isn't it?
Exactly. In fact, the counteroffensive in the south started early July, so it's nothing new. What is new, though, is that it has been a week or so that it has made significant gains in the south. I would love to tell you more about those gains, but the situation being so critical, so sensitive, there is no regular updates as to which villages exactly have been liberated, as to where exactly the army is fighting against the Russian occupants. So it's all a very, very sensitive topic here. There are pictures, there are some videos on social media, despite the request of the Ukrainian army itself to not talk about it on public media, so as to not give clues to the Russian army about about the situation. Despite that, we can see some videos. They show destructions of ammunition depots, Russian ammunition depots. They also show a lot of Russian tanks, Russian equipment being destroyed on the side of the road. And it looks like it's going well, that is gaining traction on the Ukrainian side, with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky even saying, talking about the liberation of two villages near Kherson, that finally Ukrainian flags are floating where they should be again. And perhaps the biggest giveaway that this counteroffensive is going well for Ukraine is the fact that Russia has paused its prospects of wanting to hold a referendum in occupied Kherson. It wanted to do the same as it did in Crimea in 2014, holding a referendum to officialize the annexation of the region. It cannot do that at the moment because of the counteroffensive.
A lot of movement in Ukraine. Emmanuel Chaz with the latest from there. Thank you so much.